Welcome back to my channel. Let's dig more into marriage relationships. I know folks much prefer to watch videos where people just declare what is right and what is wrong, usually by taking sides between the sexes. I'm better at pointing out the questions to consider and the complications we face. But that's important, since good answers depend on knowing the right questions and complications. It also means we need to recognize the problems of both sides. There are some basics I believe in, and also things which may make even those basics less than absolute. Okay, that may be confusing, so let's get into the example, starting with what I think is a good basic view of marriage.
Men and women are not the same, and that is a blessing. He provides and protects. I multiply. He is the head of the family. I am the heart. He provides the shelter. I give it a heartbeat. He provides the ingredients. I make the meal. He provides the house. I make it into a home. He takes care of my outer world. I take care of his inner world. He gave me love. I gave him life. Our roles complement, rather than compete. Where God created two from one, two became one. In marriage, equal value, equal honor, equally needed for the family.
This is pretty much a description of a traditional marriage. There is equality and differences. Both need to be recognized. I agree with the basic description. But we also have the issue that times have changed. Primarily that most women are working outside the home. So how can we retain the positives of a traditional marriage while still adapting to change? I'm not going to say women shouldn't have jobs. I do say that being a traditional wife deserves a lot more respect than feminists give it, and I think that is a major source of the problems. I've seen way too many feminist women who, typically, treat that particular choice as inferior. That's not good for society, but let's look deeper. We don't have a problem with some men wanting to be mechanics, others wanting to be lawyers, and so forth. So why should we think all women want to be stay-at-home wives and mothers? But it isn't just that. The job of taking care of the home is less time-consuming than it was when I was a kid. And that can mean the wife is just going to have more time to be bored. So an outside job may be extra appealing. Consider, after running clothes through the washer, my mother had to remove the clothes, put them in a tub, and manually rinse them out by hand. This was followed by running each item through a hand-cranked wringer to remove excess water. Then go outside and hang each item on the clothesline, and later remove them. Of course, in earlier times, even the washing was done by hand, as it still is for many people in less advanced countries. Today, at least for most in the West, throw the clothes in the washer and then in the dryer, do something else while the machines do the work. No time spent hanging them up either. That's a huge time saver, and there are plenty of other examples. But there is another complication. Women may want to work, and they have gotten their way. Sounds great for those who prefer that. But they also want the husband to take on some of the traditional housewife tasks, which he may not want to do at all. So the whole situation can come off as giving the wife what she wants to do by adding burdens to the husband. It's a definite conflict. I mean, logically, it doesn't sound right to expect a wife to work full-time and do all the housework a stay-at-home wife would do, even if it is easier today. But there is still that problem that to get all she wants, the husband is adding things he doesn't want. I don't know the solution, other than to say that, at the very least, a wife needs to be sure she does things a husband wants. For example, if we have this unbalanced change, it sure isn't a good idea for the wife to also cut her husband off from sex most of the time, yet that commonly happens. When I combine this job problem with how I keep seeing women calling men toxic for essentially just being men, this change in job assignments can sound just like another attack on men while women get to have what they want. Maybe women should think about that before blaming men for relationship problems. Which brings me to this clip.
What is a husband? A husband is the only creature in the world whose entire definition of self depends on someone else's happiness. There's no one else. That's purely husband. A wife whose husband is not happy is concerned. not devastated. A husband whose wife is not happy, he's shattered. He's a broken person. Her happiness is so essential to who he is, the only creature in the world. If you're a parent and your children are not happy, you're worried. You're not devastated. Only the husband. That's it, a unique creature.
This puts a huge burden on the husband for anything that goes wrong. If the wife isn't happy, it directly affects how the husband feels about himself. So maybe wives should keep this under consideration too and provide emotional support to her husband. Or, as it is often described, provide him with peace. Which leads to another clip.
There's no peace in the life of a man other than his wife. Coming home after a long day to the better half of you with their arms open and a smile to let you know that you did well and to keep going is something that all men.
This is said by a lot of men, and I don't know any men who disagree with it in general. We are often told by women that they are better nurturers and better at understanding others. Well, fine. This is a great opportunity for wives to demonstrate it instead of always being in attack mode. Today, I find many women in videos actually making fun of men for being weak. Imagine that. A man cares so much about how his wife feels that it affects his sense of self. But this is ridiculed? Why not recognize it as really caring about his spouse? It's like the fact that women tend to do better than men after the spouse dies. Probably mostly because women tend to have more relationships with friends than men do. Or maybe that the men loved more deeply. Many women treat that as proof that men need women more than women need men. That may be technically true in some ways, but wouldn't it be more appropriate to give men credit for caring so much? I don't happen to agree that women overwhelmingly act badly. Of course, my individual experience doesn't prove much, but even when I look at all my family members, from great-grandparents to siblings, children, cousins, nieces, and nephews, as well as lots of friends, I only know of 3 who have been divorced. Sure, it may be that I mostly associate with particularly good people, but it may also be that the people I associate with share values with me that are more successful in marriage. I can say that they tend to have more traditional marriages. I don't mean that the wives don't work, because most of them do, at least from my generation and later. But it is also clear that the husband listens to his wife, but also that his wife willingly submits to her husband having the final decision if there is still disagreement after discussion. Oh, I can tell sometimes the wife still thinks her husband is wrong, but they don't fight about it. In a way, it's like having a job and you disagree with your boss about something, but he still makes the final decision. It may be obvious you still don't agree, but you're foolish if you then go around trashing the boss. The main difference to me is the husband would be the leader, not the boss. It's a small but critical difference, but the final decision thing would still apply. I'd also say that the wives usually took time off to raise the kids until they started school. And I don't know of any who use daycare, though they would use relatives to help with care. In other words, the kids were cared for within the family. So, lots of complications, but maybe a traditional marriage with adjustments is generally best. But I get a strong impression that feminists won't even consider it. Certainly couples need to discuss these things before getting married. For example, maybe a couple doesn't even want children. Thus, the wife can more fully focus on a career. But they better also discuss what happens when birth control fails. It's much like the problems I see with these big age gap marriages. I don't declare they are wrong, but they better discuss the challenges that occur when it is no longer about a much older but still healthy man, and how things could later be when the older man is just worn out and unhealthy. Think, discuss, and anticipate to minimize problems in anything. Thanks for watching, and don't let the trolls stop you from speaking out.